All right, it's Wade here from Shoemakers Academy. You're like, hey Wade, who are these clowns in this picture? Well, these guys are I say developers are the shoemaking heroes. And you'd be like, Wade, what are you talking about? Well, so behind every great shoe design, of course, there's a immensely talented, sometimes hyper unique superstar designer, but without the product developer to take that drawing and execute it, you got nothing. And I've seen so many wild designs, basically hit the bricks, get delayed, get overpriced because there wasn't a developer behind the project that knew how to get it made. So so I know everyone talks about how amazing and talented and special the shoe designers are. And I am not slagging on shoe designers. In fact, I started as a shoe designer and I design shoes just about every day. But there's of course designers that are way better than me. But without the product developer, and you say, okay, wait, hold on, back up. What is a product developer? So in footwear, the developer is the interface between the designer and the factory, but it also the the developer is the interface between the designer and reality, and the designer and functionality, and the designer and cost effectiveness and durability. So all the designer makes this beautiful drawing, and they've probably considered all of these issues, but it's the developer's job to make it reality. And an amazing design with a competent developer, it's gonna rock. It's gonna be on time with the right price, and it's gonna hang together. An amazing design with a terrible developer is never gonna be on schedule. It's gonna be over budget, and it's gonna fall apart. Even a not great design with a first class developer can turn into a very successful product. Okay, so what does the developer do? The developer takes that drawing, and again, the roles in big company and small company are slightly different, of course, but the developer is responsible for taking that drawing and making it into a real shoe. And in most companies, the designer sort of hands off that design to the development department, and they go off and they keep designing. They got next season to work on. So just they go back to the design work. And the developers take that design, and they have to put it through the reality check, right? What's the pattern engineering like? Getting the pattern made, right? Basically guiding the whole shoe through its process, because that piece of paper, if you don't put it to a schedule and put it to a price and identify the molds or materials that are going to take to make it, right? It's just a drawing, right? But if you can put it to a last, which makes it fit correctly, if you can get it on the right type of outsole, whether it's a cup sole or an EVA midsole or a PU or whatever, then you control the performance and the price and also the development cost of it, right? So all those things are in the hands of the developer. Now the developer is listening to the designer, right? They're also got to listen to the product manager, because those may be two different things, right? They're two different people. In a big company, you'll probably have, sales manager, marketing manager, tons of different people that have input to it, versus in a smaller company, you maybe just have one. In fact, in a really small company, you may be the designer and the developer, and I've been in that circumstance too. And why can I speak on the subject of why the developer is the unsung hero? Well, I've done all these jobs. I started out as a designer, and either was lucky or unlucky to accept a transfer. They think, hey Wade, you're the designer in California. How about moving to the office in Taiwan to represent, this is a multinational company, of course. They had businesses all over the world, but they didn't have anyone in the development office that understood the USA market and what the products needed to be for that market. So it's like, hey Wade, you're the designer, why don't you go over there and you'll learn that side of the business? So lucky me. So what that meant is that I had just won the critique, right? My hotshot young designer self, the design I made was picked. were going into production with that shoe. So I got to basically follow that shoe into the development organization. And they were like, wait, your first project is the shoe that you designed. I'm like, oh great, here we go. And boy, oh boy, did they beat me up. They had an awesome time. Those shoe dog, those original shoe dogs, thanks guys, that was fun. I owe you a lot. They really, they beat me up. Not literally beat me up, but figuratively beat me up. Like, okay, designer, how are you going to make that? You really got to think about how those pieces are going to assemble, right? You drew that thing, but how are you going to make that? Is that a hole in the midsole? Is that a color dam? Is that EVA? What is that? That crazy tongue design that you made, like, that looks cool, but is it going to work? Is it going to be comfortable? How do those pieces actually fit together? Well, I don't know. I just drew it. Well, okay, now you get to figure it out. So I, really got, firsthand lesson for how to take that design that you drew yourself and figure out how to manufacture it. And then same thing. It was like, okay, Wade, you've drawn this design and you could execute that design at $200, retail price. But actually, we have to take that design you made and we have to make it for 119 bucks retail. So all of a sudden, your chances for how you can make it, you have to modify that, and that's the developer's job to look at that drawing and say, okay, given the target price, given these goals, the designer's got you halfway there as far as what is in the shoe and what it roughly is made out of. But as the developer, you're the one who's got to hone in on that target, and you got to get it right. And that is really the challenge, because you've got the designer's intent, and it's a beautiful drawing, fantastic. But if the side profile is a little weird, and the last is not, it didn't look like they executed the proportion very well, it really falls to the developer to replicate the designer's intent, but make it into a shoe. And because I've been handed a design that was fully detailed out, man, spectacular, and it needed so much work because it just wasn't a shoe. It just great stuff, but it was going to be really hard, and it was a real challenge to make. Versus, I'd been working with a designer for a long time, and we had this particular shoe in mind to make. And I had a little bit of an advantage being a designer myself, but he literally handed me a napkin sketch, and I'm like, okay, I know exactly what to do with this, and went and got it done. And it was a really fun project because it was really tight collaboration between the designer and the developer. In smaller companies, you're going to have way more collaboration with the designer and developer. In big companies, again, like I said, the designer is off doing their next season, right? Now, of course, as a developer, depending on your structure, you're going to bring that shoe back to the designer and discuss the intent, right? And you're going to, of course, sit with the product manager and the marketing manager and the sales manager to make sure that the shoe you're developing hits the mark and is, you might have to course correct. But why do I say, okay, so why are they, heroes, right? Well, because behind the scenes, they're the ones that make it happen. But also, you've never heard of these people, right? Tinker Hatfield designed a whole bunch of shoes, and there's an army of developers behind them, right? And those folks don't get a lot of credit for what they do, or maybe none. No one knows. Not that no one cares, but when you're in design school, no one tells you what a developer is. And it turns out, of course, that there's probably more developers than there are designers. And developers can make big bucks too. And again, the developers actually maybe have more opportunity to travel, right? Because the designer, okay, the designer might go to Paris and do inspiration travel or whatever it is. The developer is going to the factory to figure it out, right? And the developer is more likely to get the phone call to be like, hey, dude, this is not working. You need to go, right? And footwear development, just as with design, there's men, women, young, old. There's tons of different folks and from all different backgrounds that get into it. Folks like me that started out as a designer and then as career circular ended up doing development and can circle back and do both. And I worked for companies where we trained guys in the warehouse to do quality control, and then they became developers and went on without a college degree at all. In fact, some of these guys probably never finished high school, but they got it, and once you sort of learn what a shoe is supposed to look like, and then you learn, sort of what a spec sheet is and how to call it out and recognize it, then you can do those jobs. So yeah, again, like I said, you go to school, no one tells you what a footwear developer is. I think now it's different. When I was in design school, no, we didn't know what that was. No one ever told us what it was, and you didn't realize that these are the folks that really get it done. And anyway, so okay, so why are we talking about this? Well, hey, here at Shoemakers Academy, we of course love and respect shoe designers, but also, hey, we know that developers are the ones that really help make it happen. You can't have one without the other. So a lot of the courses and materials we have here are about the product development procedure, process, techniques. So, how to pick materials, how to create a spec sheet, right? What does quality look like? How to do costing. These are all things that footwear developers really got to know, right? And if you get started as a junior developer, yeah, there's tons of great material here for you, right? If you're interviewing as a designer and you want to learn sort of the development procedure and process, then yeah, we've got we've got courses for that. Hey, these courses are video courses. They're on demand. They're online. If you want to start today and take the course from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m., you could do that. And whether you're in Germany or you're in Ohio or you're in China, if you, as long as you have an internet connection, and if you're watching this video, you do, then you can take a course here at Shoemakers Academy. Hey, we also have books and tools. The books are available here on the website. There, you can either download them. We have soft copy. These are the textbooks that are the foundation of the courses. Now the courses go much further. They go deeper, and of course you get to hear all the crazy stories from me. But the books are the foundation of it. Again, these, you can download these. Hey, you can go on Amazon and find these same books. You could probably have it on your desk tomorrow. We have lots of DIY supplies, right? So if you want to learn about pattern making, we have the pattern making book. We have we have outsoles. There's a sample pattern. If you want to make your own Air Jordan, we got stuff for that too. If you're looking for some exotic tools that are kind of hard to find, like last jacks and last measuring steps and lasting pliers, we've got those too. Our shoe material parts kit is a super important. These are things that you're not going to get at Michael's, but are important to how you make a shoe. So again, that's all here at Shoemakers Academy. Again, really, like I said, developers, and designers, you got to have them both. Product managers are pretty useful too. But again, without those developers backing up the process, keeping things on schedule, making sure the price is right, making sure that it doesn't fall apart, handling all that communication with the factory, hey, in the middle of the night, of course, because that's when when it happens, right? So again, a development developer is a key position, and developers are highly trained. They're very professional. You can make good money doing it. And hey, that's it, folks. And again, thanks for coming by. Please visit shoemakersacademy.com, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.